Mhm.
All right. Welcome back to the Her Advantage podcast, episode 51. I have with me today host of the Weight Loss for Women podcast. I'm going to get all of I'm going to trip up my tongue big time as I go
Don't
through the
even worry.
accolade of things.
Oh, stop
Um,
it.
co-founder of Her Advantage's favorite supplement brand, Saturé, and the Win at Life program. This woman is not afraid to stand up for what she believes in order to actually help people. And I truly believe she is one of the women that first started making noise around the fact that women need to understand and honor their body in order to change it. Kitty, how are you?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
That's okay. So, Kitty, I like to start my podcast with a little bit of a story around how you really started sort of making waves in my life, or a little funny story. And I've been working with some mindset coaches recently, and part of the work that we do in that is owning the traits of the greats. Basically, what we see in other people, we have in us, and we have to own in us. So, my coach said to me, think of someone in your industry that you really admire. And I'm like, yeah, I've got her. And she's like, awesome. Who is she? And I'm like, oh, she has a really great, message for women around health and wellness. And she's creating programs that are actually creating change. And she said to me, she name dropped the name of a Biggest Loser trainer. And she said, oh, is it this person? And I was almost offended. I was like, no, it's not that person. And all of these PTSD things came back around, what this particular trainer had done with her women and other people that she'd worked with. And I was like, Kitty would be so offended as well, I think, if she was in the same category as this. Um, so Kitty, that's my little own the traits of the greats and not compare them to people. I should probably go and take that woman out of the pit. But anyway, Kitty, how are you settling into Dubai?
It is, we're settled now. I would be lying. Like I got here and I just have missed the dogs so much. Like I've cried heaps about the bloody dogs, Winston and Henry. I can't believe that
Are
I
you gonna
miss them
get
so
them, if
much.
you move back to Oz, are you gonna get them back, or you just don't know?
Nah, I would never take them back because they have got found. We rehome them to this beautiful retired couple in Tasmania who have this huge property,
Every
and
time
so
you
they're
talk
retired.
about this Tasmanian couple, I'm like, do they need a human to adopt?
I know, they cook them dinner and breakfast like human food. Like so, they had baked rabbit the other night. I fillet steak, like pork, sausages, and gravy. Winston was having some chocolate pudding, and so they get them up in the morning and they take them on like a 10-kilometer walk out for puppy chinos. They always send us videos and they're having puppy chinos. And then they sit by the fire, like they've got this cat as well. He always sends me videos of Henry sitting by the fire with the cat. Looks so nice and warm. And Winston's always in bed unless he's out eating. And so they sleep, the couple must sleep in separate beds. Deanna and Steve are their names. And so Henry, one of them sleeps with Henry and the other one sleeps with Winston. And they're like, oh, Winston goes to bed early, like he'll have his dinner and go to bed early, but Henry stays up with Deanna until she goes to bed, follows her. Like, they're just so happy. You're like, I just couldn't. I feel like I would
You made the
want to
right
have them
decision.
back,
Yeah.
but I just think that they just are so happy there and they're loved. And the couple's like, we just love them so much. They bring so much joy to our life. Thank you so much for so it's like that unconditional love. You just
Oh,
like
I don't know how
like
you did.
it,
Yeah, I don't know how you did it.
oh man, it was so hard. I'm so glad we didn't do it though, because we live in a one-bedroom apartment here and it's hot.
Yeah.
And but I've been looking at all these dog shelters and like because I'm going back to Australia. I think I told you my sister's got breast cancer, so I'm going back to spend some time with her a couple of months. When I come back, there's this dog shelter that you can volunteer at. So I'm just going to go and volunteer there a couple of days a week. And then I was looking on Facebook. I'm in this like Dubai chicks, I don't know, fucking Facebook page, and some woman was like, but there just must be heaps of like stray dogs here that get dumped. And she's had this post about all these dogs that just need fostering, like just for a couple of months. So I said to Craig, I'm like, message the owners of the thing and see if they let us have a dog for like 2 months. Because I said, he's like, yeah, but you're going to get so attached. I said, yeah, but at least we can help them. So I'm really hoping that the owners will say that we can like foster some dogs. So then even if they just stay with us for a couple of months while they find them, you know, a better, because we live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So I think long term it would be not, but at least they'd be in a home. And she's like, oh, this would be so good. You know, they just need that care and someone. So I'm like, oh, come on. So
Let's be
yeah, she
honest, it's
sent
not about
me.
the dogs, it's about us. We also need some four-legged furry love. Like, you love
I
Craig, but
know.
he's not giving you that, like,
That's
there's a
right,
hole
exactly. I
missing.
don't have any kids. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we can just foster some dogs and help them. Just there's just heaps of
Yeah.
like stray dogs that get dumped, which is so sad. So
Well,
yeah, like we're
um,
settling.
yeah, I assume Dubai would be quite transient. So there would probably be people that bring their dogs in and then
Yeah.
either can't be bothered bringing them back out again. So kind of just leave them.
Who knows? Who bloody knows? But yeah, it's a bit sad. So if we can help, like I'll do the volunteering a couple of days a week, which will be nice. And then if we can foster some of these dogs, that'll be good too. And yeah, my cousin's moving over here and his wife in a month. So and we've met some people, you know, Ross, you know Ross Gilmore? Yeah,
Oh,
have you heard of him? Maybe Leela has done a few podcasts with him. I was on his podcast. We met up with him and his wife. So we're making some friends, which is good.
yeah.
So we're slowly settling in. Yeah.
You got your ice cream maker. You found your, are you
I
missing
know.
Harris Farm yet?
Am I missing what?
Harris
The
Farm.
what? Yes, I am. But they have good supermarkets here, like Waitrose, which has everything
Mhm.
except the milk's a bit annoying. Is the only thing. Like you got to have the imported milk from fucking, which costs is just stupidly expensive. But we just buy it because we're like, fuck, we need all the milks here's got added vitamin D and K and
Oh,
yeah,
you
it's
need
shit.
vitamin
So,
D
but
in like permanent summertime.
I know. I know it's crazy. Well, yeah. So it's like the shopping in terms of the food is good. Like there's everything you can think of, like imported from everywhere. And Carrefour is like Woolies on steroids. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's actually fun going there because
I
it's so
love
after
going to supermarkets. It's a kink,
you would love this
Kitty.
place. No, you would love this place. Like you go in, it's like the bakery is like the size of a small supermarket, and then the meat section, and then the seafood section, and the cheese section. It's crazy. It's so crazy. So yeah, I mean, I've lived here before, but and it's we had such a big house at home we're living in. There's just pros and cons,
Yeah.
to everything. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
You're also not the same person that you were however many years ago.
true.
Like Dubai is not the same place,
That
and
is
you were
true.
definitely not the same person that you were.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but once I get back from Australia, then we're going to plan our first trip. So I really want to go to Greece or Turkey is the first place. Yeah.
Well,
So
you've got like now. Just go for the weekend, Kitty.
let's
Book a
fostering the
flight. Let's
dog.
go for the
We can't
weekend.
go anywhere. You're like, sorry, Craig, we're fostering the dog. We can't
Yeah, true. I'll come
go.
over and like mind the dog for a week. You guys can go to Dubai. I'll like dive into the supermarkets. We'll be fine.
Sounds
So,
good.
Kitty, let's talk about this podcast. Well, not just the podcast, but weight loss for women. That's probably what you're known for most. Am I right?
Mhm. I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. So, like a lot of women come to us who have typically cycled through every diet under the sun, multiple times. They're usually in their 40s and 50s. They're experiencing some form of like perimenopause or menopausal symptoms. They just feel shit, and they hate their bodies and they are just sick of being stuck on the restrictive diet train. And they just resonate with my story because I was the same. I cycled through every diet. I did the craziest shit. Like I remember one time I ate 200 apples for 12 weeks because I was going to go see this guy in Melbourne and I wanted to be lean. And I was lean by the time I went there. And then, of course, like I rebounded and gained weight again. I took that drug where you poo out any fat that you eat. I don't know, you heard of that? It was gross. Like it was like these dirty, greasy orange poos. It was
Mhm.
so gross. Did the shakes, fasting, everything,
We shouldn't laugh.
and
Like it's something that
well,
it's
I just
so common.
whenever women get on calls and I'm like they start to feel embarrassed. I said, don't even worry. I was
There's
like,
nothing that you
trust
can
me.
tell me that I haven't
Oh,
done.
exactly. I'm
Yeah.
like, do not feel it. Just
Yeah.
tell me everything.
Yeah.
So I just, you sort of got to laugh because you're just like, oh fuck, how did I do all of those things? And the training as well, I just used to train like an asshole, basically. I just hammer myself with RPM and like just classes, what was that? Body pump, that lesbian body
Les
pump.
Mills.
Oh. What was the best? you know, and just heaps of cardio.
So did you
So
ever love training, or was it always a form of an aesthetic, like weight loss, change my body?
I think I liked how fucked I felt at the end, you know, like I'd smash myself at RPM and I'd have that, you know, that real high of the training. But then always too, it was, I just wanted to be small as well. So it's probably both, you know,
Yeah.
bit of punishment, bit of liking the high, because I just like to push everything to the extreme, you know, take drugs, drink
Kitty,
heaps of
kitty.
alcohol, you know, smash myself 4 hours a day in the fucking gym, you know, yeah, so it was probably both.
Yeah.
But maybe I was like, it's not a good feeling, you know, that you're just going to die and fall off your bike at the end of an hour RPM session, you know.
And who has time for that when you move into your 40s and onwards anyway? Like there's no.
Exhausting.
So
No.
you just touched on the whole perimenopause, menopause thing and the like cycles of dieting. Now you and I were chatting a little bit before around your sister with her breast cancer journey. And
Autistic
prior,
me.
yeah, but prior to her
Mm.
diagnosis, she sort of came to you and said, "Oh, I think I'm going into perimenopause."
Yeah, well,
What else was going on?
and I just love my sister. And, you know, like, I'm like, Rach, do you know what we do? Like, we've been fucking doing this shit for 10 years. I'm like, and then she would tell me about some random YouTube video that she'd been watching, you know, but people just don't know, you know, and like, so she came to me and she's like, oh, I'm just feeling so exhausted, you know, or maybe I'm going through perimenopause. And I said, are you tracking your food? Because I know that she was under eating. And so she went to like 1,100 calories she's eating a day, flogging herself on the treadmill, sprinting every day. She has a really high stress job too. Like she's got a really well paid high stress job. So that as well, lack of sleep. You know, she would drink on the weekends and then have a binge. And so just that really restricted, no muscle, not a lot of muscle. And just stress, so much stress. And I said to her, look, let's like, can you just try and eat 1,800 calories? Can you just start there and get 100 grams of protein? And I gave her a bit of foods. I'm like, just do this, you know, stop. You still do some cardio, but just don't like, just if you want to do sprints, just do like, you know, 10 minutes of sprints or something once a week and then do some zone 2 cardio, but try and do some weights as well. She hasn't quite got into the weight training yet, but yeah, so she would eat more food and she's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And like, I mean, but still she was the stress from work. But then now that she's got breast cancer, she stopped working, which is awesome. And interestingly enough, her recovery, her HRV and her work's gone right up now that she's stopped working and removed all that stress. So she's doing all the right things now, eating all the food. But it's just, I think so many women, it's either they intentionally undereat or they undereat, then they binge eat. And, you know, I think that if you're experiencing, like you should go through perimenopause and menopause with relatively few symptoms, you know, and I'm not saying this to gaslight women because fucking women say to me, oh, you're gaslighting me. I'm like, no, I'm not. What I'm trying to tell you is that
Offering you
you
a
can totally,
solution.
yeah, I know. And it's, you don't have to take a million supplements or do anything crazy. You just have to eat some more food, you know, and do some
Like a
strength
hit
training and
word
get
though,
some,
isn't it? Gaslighting. That's the like ultimate.
yeah.
I'm pushing away responsibility. You're clearly gaslighting me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's your fault. Well, it is sort of your
No.
fault, but like, but you're probably unaware of what you're doing. It's a way that you've been living your life. And I think a lot of women are just under a lot of stress and they do so much and they undereat and then some women overtrain and they drink too much alcohol, you know, and it's just, if you do all these basic things and even Rachel's like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. Like I feel so much better, you know, she's so interesting because she's been doing this diet from Alex and I've sort of helped them with it. And it's like 2,100 calories. And she's like, oh, I've been weighing myself every day and my weight's been stable without doing all of that exercise and eating more food.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. And yep. And cutting out the drinking, obviously lowering the stress. And so,
Which
yeah,
is
it's
interesting that you
just, I
say
think,
that she's lowering her stress because obviously she's going through cancer treatment. Her sister's just moved to the other side of the world. Like there's still a fair bit of stress going on.
yeah. Yeah. When I say stress, she's lowered the other things in her life, like the
Yeah.
crazy work. Yeah. And
Yeah.
not, you know, running on the treadmill, but yeah, stressful from the chemo. She started the chemo, which is obviously, you know, going to be stressful, but
Yeah.
I think, and emotional stuff like that we've been talking about. She's been working with my coach, Greta, friend and coach, and she's helped her immensely with so many things like the people pleasing and, you know, her relationship with my mom. And that was causing her a lot of stress, I think, too.
But that's what I mean, we're going to jump to the probably the end of my notes and then we'll go back up the top. But that's
Yeah.
kind of what I was
Yeah.
talking about. Like, you know, I think we look at the like food piece, the exercise piece, the sleep, like what Craig was just talking about, the sleep, like we have all these, what I call basics or foundations like lined up, and like they can look pretty on paper, but they don't always add up to what's happening. And you just said your sister has this really high stress job. And so it's not that we're learning to manage the stress, right? It's not completely eradicating ourselves and going to live like a monk
Yeah,
on top
no,
of it all.
God, no, exactly. Because I think like obviously stress is normal every day, and like you
Yeah.
want to build your resilience to stress, and I think like, but there's these baseline things, once she was eating enough food, she's like, oh, okay, fuck, I feel a lot better now. I can not feel like I'm going to fall off the edge of a cliff every fucking day because, I'm starving. But like you say, like, it's not like we're saying wrap yourself in cotton wool, have no stress, because that's just silly as well. It's normal. But there's definitely things that you can do to build your resilience. And then even the emotional work as well, like you're building that emotional resilience too, right?
Correct.
I think.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Like if you look and like, you know, again, Kitty and I talked about this before we hit record. Sorry guys, all the good stuff happened then. You know, Kitty and Craig once upon a time owned a gym and was running this program out of a gym. And you know, how long ago was that? What, 5 years ago, 6 years?
2017, I think, or 2015 that we opened the gym.
And then when did you
15. Do the online 17,
so
2017.
then 17 went online. So here we are in 24. Yeah, 8 years, something
Yeah.
like that. Anyway,
Yeah,
regardless,
7, yeah,
you know, you have gone through an immense amount of emotional challenge, stress challenge, physical challenge, all of these things. And could you have done that if you hadn't have been looking after your
no.
body
Like
as well as your
Greta
mind?
always Greta always says to me, she's like, oh, because we went through a particularly hard time last year, Craig and I personally, in our relationship before we got married. And then beyond that, before I went away to Survivor, and that was sort of the catalyst. And that was like, oh my God, I learned so much about myself working with Greta. I won't go into all the details because poor old Craig, he's like, you don't need to splash our personal life all over fucking Instagram. But like for me, I learned so much, and and how we interact, and just like, I'm just such a people pleaser. Like that is just how I am. And just I learned so much about myself and things I was doing, and, behavior patterns, and just like I've never cried so much in my whole entire life. And sleep, like, because I'm so consistent with my food. But if it doesn't matter if because I eat the same food every day, like I'm pretty consistent most of the time.
Yeah.
And I eat a decent 2,500 plus calories every day. Like I don't eat under that. I could be perfect. And I emotionally, if I am like out of alignment or feeling stressed, I just can't sleep. Like I wake up at 3 a.m. It doesn't matter what I've done. Like it would blew my, and then the times when Greta and I would have some breakthroughs, and I would be like, okay, yeah, I've made this decision. I mean, I'm alignment. I would sleep through the night. Like it actually, even now, like even, like I'm still learning stuff about myself and our relationship, and we're still evolving, and there things will happen or something will trigger me, and then I'll be like, fuck, and then I won't sleep. I'll sleep, but I'll wake up at like 3 a.m. Do you know?
Yeah. And then you're like, oh,
Mm.
here we go, Greta, incoming.
Yeah, we have this massive bucket fish. She's so good, but it's just fascinating to me. Like,
So what was the
you
catalyst for you to go, fuck, okay, I need to start working with someone on this? If you're
well,
okay.
I actually yeah, I actually worked with her before that when we were trying to have a baby. I don't know if I probably shared that on Instagram, and
Yeah.
she messaged me, and we were trying to have a baby, and then Craig turned around and was like, I actually don't want to have a kid.
Mm.
And then I was like, oh my God, is this what I want? Am I just doing it because I feel like I'm a failure? I have to we just went through all of this stuff, and we worked through a lot of stuff with her. I started working with her then. And then we sort of became friends. And then after I came back when I went to Survivor, Craig started working with her. And then I came back, and then it hit the fan. And then it was like, he ended up working with this other guy, Stefanos is his name. I did a podcast with him actually in Greta. I need to release it. I've forgotten about
I
it.
reckon I
But
listened to that.
no, that was with another guy, Max Trombley.
Like, that's the dude.
I like him too. Yeah. So Craig worked with this other guy for 6 months.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's hard. It was so
This is
hard,
the
Mel.
thing,
Oh my
right?
God.
And that's the, what do they say? They say like that's what a relationship is, a mirror to the stuff that you need to work on. And
Oh, your
we
shadow.
idolize and romanticize these relationships. And it's like, that ain't what it is at all.
Greta's like, listen, she's like, how about you view this is relationship is for you to, for your expansion.
But I want to
That's
blame
what, and
him.
I'm like,
That's all I want to do.
exactly. I'm like, why can't you just let me fucking be angry? But she's so good. Like, and sometimes I'll just like go in these big, something will trigger me and I'll have and then I end up like, I just wear myself out. And then I'm like, you know what, you're right. I'm just surrendering. I'm just
So
gonna
then
like,
let's talk about like when you are like, going through one of these emotional breakthroughs, or like, that you're in like, let's call it a stretch. Like, that you're in the mud, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not quite there yet. How are you looking after yourself, and how are you, going through everything else to make sure your emotional health is where it is?
well, I try, and this is still, I think I'm on this, like, I feel like I've just scratched the surface because, like, Greta's very spiritual and, like, she's into all of the woo-woo stuff. I always, like, we always just joke about it, but I'm like, I feel like she's, like, over there and I'm, like, just starting on the journey. So she's given me some practices to do, which sometimes I do. I'm consistent for a while, like, probably, it's not with the training nutrition, it's just ingrained in me. I do it without even thinking. It's who I am. It's how I live. But this stuff, like, always, like, I'm trying to practice that I am committed to love in our relationship, that I am, committed to love and the highest version of myself and Craig in the relationship. So like in the morning I get up and do this, which has actually been helpful, this non-linear movement. And I would do it in the morning when we got here and I would cry after like all of this thing, because I think it was a big move and everything that happened, it was just a lot. And then the meditation and not checking my phone, because I get into this habit of getting straight up, getting on my phone, replying to messages in Slack, because Australia is 6 hours ahead of us. There's always like a lot of shit happening by the time we get up. And so sometimes I am good at it. This morning, I didn't do it. I didn't do the practice and I got fucking straight on my phone and I did shit. And I was like, Kitty. And then I was like, it's all right. Just, like I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And then just tomorrow, I'm going to just get back on the wagon. So it's just and I find the meditation hard, but I just figure I'm like, well, if I want to become this person that's, like the other thing that we've been working on too is just cultivating my feminine side, because I have been like a strong masculine, like I'm driven and it's been good. Like it's helped us in our business, but then there's parts of it that I'm like, oh, I just want to relax, like helping me relax.
Yeah.
And not always wanting to control everything and letting Craig take the lead on things. And that's been hard for me too, as well. Like but it's been good. Like I have relaxed, I have changed. I mean, I've still got this, I'm still on the journey, I think.
Oh, there's no end point to this.
Greta says to me, she's like, listen, this isn't some degree that you're going to get Kitty at the end and you're going to hang it on the wall. But yeah, it's just like these things, you're like, because we did this actually exercise in our program. We did this 30-day challenge. We're doing it now, and part of it was like looking at your values and what you value, and then are you living in alignment with your values? And one of my values was intimacy in our marriage. And so, like every time some of these things happen, I'm like, are you living in alignment? Are you showing up with love? Like, like it's just, yeah. So it's just this. I think. And I can imagine when women are trying to change their nutrition and training, like they're not yet that person. So at the start, like me with all this stuff, I'm like, I'm on the way and I am getting more consistent with it. But there are times when I fall off the wagon or I revert back to that. Like if I'm just trying to think of an example, but like my classic default is if something's not happening the way that I wanted, or I don't feel like Craig's doing it well enough, is I just revert back to control. Like I'll just do it. Don't worry about it. I'll take control. I'll handle it. Like masculine,
I think
and that's
so
my
many
default.
women can relate to that, Kitty. It's fine. I'm fine. I'll do
I
it.
don't want to be that person though. I don't want to be that woman. I want to be compassionate and show up with love. And so I have to just like check myself. And, sometimes I do it and then I turn around and I'm like, Craig, I'm so sorry. Like, I just get scared. When I'm not in control, I'm scared. So I snap back to my controlling, because that's a way for me to feel safe. So it's a work in progress, like,
Nice.
It's
But like you said as well, I think it's really important for us as coaches to go through these growth spurts because we are so far in on the journey. And, you know, these women are coming to us in chapter 1 and learning about what the fuck a protein is, what the fuck a carb is, what the fuck a
yeah.
squat is for the first time. And like you just said, it's so ingrained in us that we do these things. And it's like, oh, I've got compassion for myself right now while I'm learning the thing. And you know what? It's okay for you to be here too.
Yeah. And you just got to stay committed. Like, I really, really enjoyed this values exercise. I was like, well, what do you value? Like, you value health and, you know, your body. And so, but you're so good at doing all the things. You definitely live in alignment with that. But are you really, truly living in alignment with a woman who is committed to love and intimacy and connection in a relationship? Not all of the time, you're not.
Yeah, but they're like, you know,
So,
you know, the values thing for women is something. So when you ask a woman, like, what are your values? You know, who are you when you're living in an alignment? Women are like, I don't know. Do I get to be in alignment? What is that? You know, that's also, you know, am I allowed to do that? It's a completely foreign concept to women that they get to be what they want to be.
mm,
A little bit
yeah.
like eating carbs and, you know,
Yes.
I get to
Yeah.
do
And then I
that. What
think,
do
too,
you
you know,
think?
like, oh yeah, and you know, like one of my biggest struggles and thing that I work with Greta is like I've just never feel like I'm enough.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just one of my deeper like childhood fucking things. And it's like just this worrying about what people think about me. I mean, I've trained myself to take action regardless, but to gradually get to the point where you're like just embrace your authentic self and fucking not worry about what people think about you and like I'm not smart enough and I'm not pretty enough. And like I have this thing about because you know, like Craig is the coach in our business. Like he has the in-depth technical, you know, nutrition training knowledge. I don't have the knowledge that he has because I've done the business side, the marketing. And often I'm like, oh, you know, I just feel like I don't know enough. Like I don't know this at a deep enough level. And it's so interesting, like our marketing guy that looks after our marketing funnels, he's like, Kitty, like the way that you communicate, like it's easy to understand. Like this is how that you trust me. I was watching this video actually of Alex Hormozy. He's like, the reason that your ads aren't converting is because you need to write it in fifth grade, like that a
Yep.
fifth grader could understand. And even Lynn says it to me all the time. And I sent him this video. He's like, I fucking told you. I've been telling you this. Like, stop trying to like, you know, just it needs to be simple. And it's funny. I often get messages from women saying, oh, I just really like you because you're so real and you're easy to understand. And you don't
I
make
said
me
that
feel
to
like I'm
you.
stupid.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're one of the most like authentic people before authenticity was even a hit word. Here's Kitty like swearing and pouring sugar on everything. I'm like, wow, cool. This is fucking refreshing. Um, but
But I
like,
still think I'm worried about what people think of me.
can we
Like, I
just
still
like though,
think,
this is the thing, right? You know, how many women, Kitty, if you were to put a number on it, how many women do you think you would have helped in whatever
oh, hey,
capacity, right?
true. I don't know. Thousands of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like even the people that haven't paid you that have just consumed your content, you know, like thousands of women. And here you are
Mm.
going, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough.
I
I'm
know, I know. It's great. Like, because like we've built two like multiple seven-figure businesses. I'm like, how many
still
fucking
not
like
enough.
again? I love Alex Hormozy, and he's like, you know, only 10% of businesses ever get into seven figures, and like we've done it twice, multiple times, and he's like, 1% get to eight figures, and you know what it is? It's because I think so much of for so long and working with Greg, I've realized this is a lot of my drive was trying to achieve to prove to myself that I was enough if I just build the bigger business, if I get the husband, if I get the body, you know, I'll be enough. I'll be enough.
And
I mean,
wasn't
I
it?
obviously do love. I
Yeah.
do. Well, that's what she's saying. She's like, when is it going to be enough for you? Like, when are you going to feel that you are enough? And so that's been really good to like, I mean, it's still there though. Like, you know, she says, look, every woman, Kitty, has this. Like, don't worry. Don't feel like just because you sometimes have these feelings that, you know, but it's definitely better. And, you know, I do this because I love it. You know, I love growing our businesses. I love helping women, you know, but I just feel I'd share this because I think, oh, fuck, I'm sure other women can just relate to this as well.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Like here you like, you know,
Mm.
there's women that feel like they can't go to the gym or they can't track their food or that whatever the thing is, they're like, oh, I'm not enough. I can't do that. And, you know, here's you, Kitty, at the, you know, one end of a scale or whatever it is, and you're still hearing those words. Like it's something that like I hate to say this, we're not special because we think we're not good enough.
No,
Like,
that's right. Like fucking every woman and everyone has body stuff, I'm sure. Like
absolutely.
some form of, even now I still, like I've got this because when I was younger, like I just was tiny, and I'm not big now, but I'm bigger and I'm more muscular. And I still have thoughts occasionally about, I'd like to be a bit leaner. I'd like to be a bit more muscular. And then I'm like, fucking shut up, Kitty. Like, how you are is perfectly fucking fine. Like, just eat the food, lift the weights, and how you look is fine. Like but do you know what I mean? Like, there's still some things inside of me that tells me like, oh, you need to be leaner, you need to be better, or you need to be. But then I just sort of slap it down, and I'm like, no. Not
But
that I'm saying
so
it's wrong to
then,
want to be leaner. Like if you want to be leaner and it's in alignment with what you want, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I feel that, and maybe there are women out there that never struggle with body image. I don't know.
I've wondered this quite often. I'm like, is there a woman in the Western world that has never, because if often women that are really skinny are like, oh, I wish I had a
Yeah.
bum or I wish I had boobs or
Yeah,
something.
that's right. It's never enough. It's like fucking whatever we get, we're never happy.
Are we
Yeah.
just
I mean,
never
I
happy?
am generally overall, I am happy. Like I do love my body and it's strong and it's capable. And I like, I feel I'm at in terms of my body fat levels, like it's in a healthy range, but it's also at a level where I feel like I'd be fucking lying if I said I didn't like being at the body fat that I am. Like I can't lie. I can't lie. Do you know? Like, so there is some part of me that does want to look a certain way too. Do you know?
How long did it take you to get to that stage though, Kitty?
Oh, I sort of feel like, because Greta said to me, she's like, you found a way because you before had a bad way to do it, like a really destructive, unhealthy way. But she's like, you managed to find a way that you could do it in a healthy way, basically. It's still there though. I think there's still some part of me that's, because she often says to me, what if you could never train again? And if you were just fat, could you still love yourself?
But that wouldn't be
Like we
with
have these we
alignment of
have these
God.
conversations. I know. I'm like, she's like, I don't think that would ever happen. But like we just have these, she's like, could you still, we just have these long, deep conversations about things.
Of course, but it's also not like part of my journey was going, you know what? I actually don't love exercise. And it took me so fucking long to realize that. But I used to hate myself for it. Like, how dare you? This is
Yeah.
the thing. And I'm like, oh, I just don't like it. Like, I don't like
I
food,
just don't like it.
food or whatever. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so I
Don't
think
punish
that,
yourself.
yeah, but with the like that full body acceptance, do you also find that because you know how your body works, how it's functioning, and like you said, you're strong, you can do the thing, it
Mm.
it doesn't take away from, but you have so much more appreciation for your body other than just how it looks.
Yeah. And also too, like Greta and I talk about this, we call it the Goldilocks spot. Because you don't want to be so far the other fucking way that you're overweight and you're miserable and you're fat. Don't tell me that you're happy. You're not happy because you feel like shit. But then there's the other extreme where it's like I'm obsessed, like I'm so obsessed I can never eat out or I can never, do you know what I mean? Like, but then find the middle ground. There's a middle ground. The Goldilocks spot is what we call it. So I feel like I've found the Goldilocks spot, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Do you think that that's also something that what do we call your app? What do we call your program? What do we call it now?
Well, it's still called the Win at Life. It's just a
Your
group
life.
coaching Win at Life. And then we've got the app. So yeah, I think that's what it's trying to help women, like I feel like what we do, it works because women come out and they do the interviews with me and they're like, oh, I just, I found that happy spot with my body where, I've lost some body fat, I've built some muscle, I feel strong, I feel confident, I'm not obsessed about being tiny anymore. Like it's that happy medium. It's the middle ground. They found that good middle ground and they can nourish their body and they know how to track their food and they have the good routines, but they can still go out for dinner on the weekend and have a meal off the plan. It's not this like crazy obsession. So yeah, I feel because that was my, like I think I just want to be able to like eat a lot of food and train hard because I love training, but I also want to be able to go out on the weekend and have a nice meal with Craig and sometimes have a glass of fucking wine, but I still want to maintain a relatively good physique. I feel like I've found that good middle ground. Like it doesn't feel restrictive to me. It feels good. And I like being consistent because I sleep well and I have good energy and I can train hard. So if I undereat, don't feel great either. So it's also, it's that consistency to eat the right amount of food.
What do you think women struggle with the most? And not so much in the program, but like what are women really struggling come to terms with in terms of honoring their body and looking after it?
I don't know. It's hard because I'm the sort of like just the punisher. I've always been like, you just do something, like you just decide and you just do something. So maybe some of the women that come into our program, like we have a lot of mums with kids, and they just put themselves last. Like they look after everyone else in their family, and they feel bad if they're prioritizing themselves with their food or their training. So I don't know if you get that a lot with women, if you feel like that's quite
This is
common.
where I got really cheeky. I was coaching a heap of mums and they were all going through the same issues. I'm like, you guys need to start talking to each other. That's when I started my group coaching and I was like, here you go. And all of a sudden they started egging each other on. They're like, oh, I got up and had breakfast in the morning. Oh, I got up and did this. Like, just went from there. I'm like, excellent. Good job, ladies.
It is true though, like, because again, this is not my words. This is Nissa, one of our coaches. You probably know Nissa in our program. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
massive
She's a
fangirl
mum.
of that woman.
How good is she? She's the best. And she's working with Greta too. And she said, fuck, I've been using this busy mum excuse for so fucking long. And Greta just called me out on it, So think again, like, it's like, you've just got to, I don't want to say it's an excuse because I don't have kids and I don't know what it's like, but
Well, no, but
you can
let's talk
choose
like
your
if
heart.
Greta called her
Yeah,
out, like that's a safe
mm,
coaching space, right? Like we're not just
that's right.
someone,
That's
we're
right.
not at the dinner table
No,
going, I call bullshit on this.
get your
Like
shit
it's a
together.
safe,
Yeah,
loving environment and we're
that's
taking
right.
them through a process. And I think that's
Mm.
when, so if someone's listening to this and going, fuck, I have that busy mum thing, Kitty and I aren't going, call yourself out on it. It's sort of like, how can you meet that with curiosity and love and compassion? Take what Kitty's like practicing. How can I practice this with love?
And like, love yourself, but then it's like, stop doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's something with Greta that I've learned as well. You can do all the fucking deep healing work and, look at all your fucking wounds and shit. But then if you just need to decide who it is that you want to be and you need to just take the action to become that person, like, do it together with loving that part of yourself too. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about going, I hate you and, it's loving it. And yeah, but then it's going, well, these are the actions, because it's like me with the meditation and the non-linear movement. Like, it's to get me more in my body, and it does at times feel hard, but well, fuck, the only way I'm ever going to get better at this is if I just keep doing it. It's not going to get better if I do nothing. And yes, I might feel a bit strange to start with, but I just keep going because I'm like,
One of my one of my girlfriends
this is
is
where I'm going.
no, I get like, yeah, she's an anxiety coach and she said to me, Mel, you need to, she's like, you need to dance, put one song on and dance in the shower, like just move and your arms have to move above your head. I'm like, okay. And I remember I always listen to music in the shower anyway, but I remember putting like a
Yeah,
particular like dance song on and I was like, I felt like the most awkward person. And I heard myself be
yeah.
like, you're in the fucking shower. Nobody's
Yeah.
watching you. Like, it's okay. But like, all of a sudden it was this massive, oh my God, I'm being judged for doing something for what?
Yeah. I know. I'm the same though. When I do the non-linear movement, like I do it, and I think, oh, what if someone's watching me? And she's like, that's a thing with you, and like you're so much in your head all the time, Kitty. Get in your body. So I'm like, well, the only fucking way I'm gonna get better at this is if I keep trying. So I just keep doing it.
So did you like, I mean, if we go back to like when you started working with Emma, did you like some of the stuff she said to you where you're like, oh God, like, this is weird. This is awkward.
Sort of, but not really, because I think I had found her website and I'm like, this just makes so much sense to me. And I was like, fuck it,
Yeah.
I'm going all in. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm like eating all the carbs, drinking the chocolate milk, eating the orange juice. I was like, I'm training, got into powerlifting. I just was like, this is it. When you find something and you
Yeah.
decide and you're all in. And I just did it. And I was like, this is just the greatest. Because I think I just like food as well.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, orange juice. I can drink orange juice again. And I just love ice cream. I know not everyone loves ice cream. It's just my food. I love ice cream. So
No, the woman
yeah.
that the friend of mine that's in your coaching program, she's like, Mel, you haven't
Mm.
tried my ice cream yet. Like it's a competition
Oh,
that you've created in women. Look, I'm all here for it, but I was like, amazing. Can't wait for our ice cream date. So
You
thank
can
you,
make
Kitty.
one too. No worries. Yeah, with the Ninja Creamy that I've got, it's the best. Get a Ninja Creamy, honestly. It's a game changer. It's the best.
I
It
no, no.
is like, you're like, fucking, would you shut up? I hear
Yeah.
about an Instagram every fucking day. Yeah.
It just looks so creamy.
Oh, it is so creamy. Like, it's unbelievable how creamy it is, and it's low fat. Because like you can eat more of it too. With like Haagen-Dazs, you have this tiny little bowl, and you've like blown out your fat macros.
Yeah.
And this, it's really creamy, and it's low fat, and it's just the best.
Hmm. It's like
It's
the
the honestly.
the stages of being a well-fed woman is like, you get excited about the vacuum cleaner, you get excited about the air fryer, then like next level is like the ice cream maker. Congratulations. You are
I
now a
love the effort.
ice cream maker.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
then
so funny.
speaking of ice cream, and we're kind of like we are kind of jumping in between
Mm.
obviously like the physical and the emotional. And talking about as well the women and our body image stuff. Like it's not
Mhm.
again, almost every woman we speak to wants to lose weight. And I don't know whether that's just our world. Obviously it's your world, but like, whether the world that we're living in, women want to change their body, typically lose weight. What's some of the things, can you talk about some of the things that women are specifically doing that is actually blocking them from losing weight?
Would you mean like physically what they're doing? Like, like, what do you mean emotionally? Probably you're better at talking about the emotional stuff.
I'll do the emotional,
I'd
you do the
say,
physical.
yeah. Well, I
Like,
think that
how
like,
different.
well, they just restrict their calories too much. Like everyone thinks, fuck, I need to eat 1,200 calories and cut out carbs. And is that what you mean like that? Or
Yeah,
you,
but so can you talk to
yeah.
then and,
Mm.
you know, because I mean, science says calories in, calories out, right? Like if
Which
you
is
are
true.
genuinely
It's,
eating 1,200
it's true.
calories,
You will be small, but like what happens is, and I did the same thing, is like you eat 1,200 calories for a while, and then you're like, your body is screaming at you for carbohydrates because you are like drastically underfueling it, and then you binge or you don't track your food properly. So, like the women that come to us who say that they're eating 1,200 calories and are actually, they're tiny and they've got a ton of health issues, like they're fucked up. They are,
I know,
bone density
I know the type.
issues. They're small because it's like it is physically impossible. Like it goes against the law of, and I'm not saying that women lie. I just think they just, and there was actually, I shared this thing that Lane Norton and Craig talks about this study that they had all these
Talking to
women and
Leela shared something that Lane
yeah.
posted the other day,
Yeah,
and
and it's the metabolic ward studies. There's not been one metabolic ward study where the people have gone in and not lost weight. So they basically are locked in this ward where they only feed them a certain amount of calories. All of these people go, oh, I've got weight, need to lose, I can't lose weight, calorie controlled, and energy expenditure control. They all lost weight. There's not one. There's not one. But again, I'm not saying that women are lying. I just think that well, either they're in denial or they're not actually tracking their food properly. Again, I'm not saying that you should eat 1,200 calories. Like
no,
if you genuinely to lose weight, you need to eat in a calorie deficit, but not such a drastic calorie deficit. And there's ways that you can make that deficit like calories higher by like strength training, building more muscle, walking, higher activity, eating foods that support your thyroid function and your metabolism. So like that's why we find with women in our program, when we bring them in, like let's say they work at their maintenance calories to be 2,100. So a deficit for them is like 1,800. And if they're consistent with that, like the ones that are truly, they lose heaps of weight because they get stronger, they do the steps, they're consistently in a deficit. But I think women just like, they try to drastically cut calories and fast. And then that causes them all sorts of health problems. And then they just fall off the fucking wagon and they haven't built any muscle and they just get stuck in this cycle. And it's like, you have to track your food, like learn about tracking and prepping your food properly. Cause then you can just eat more and still lose weight. When I say eat more and still lose weight, it's like a lot of them are like, oh, I can't believe I'm eating 1,800 calories. I'm like, you cannot get to 100 kilos eating 1,200 calories. It's impossible. It's impossible.
sorry, Kitty just had a little delivery that she had to go and sort out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we just, and we cut carbs and then we end up with all these health issues. And we're just stuck in this cycle of restrict then binge. And it's just, it takes time. Like I would say to women, like, give it 12 months to really build that body, build muscle, improve your health. If you want to be able to eat more food and maintain a leaner physique, you've just got to spend the time eating more food and lifting weights and building muscle. Like, they're like, how can we look like you? I'm like, we'll just do the same shit that I did. And like, I always say to Craig, I'm like, obviously I know there's heaps, like a lot of nuances to coaching in it, but like, it's not that fucking hard. Like, it's actually not. If you just eat
You
enough
guys have
food.
literally written the step by step, like, let's do the thing.
If
Let's
you go
just
into
do
the
it.
gym, he's like, to me, you get such good results because you just focus on the basics and you do them well consistently over a long period of time. And that's just, there's no magic. There's no magic to it. Eat enough food and lift heavy weights and do some cardio, do your walking as well. Like, eat
Absolutely.
enough food and sleep and recover and have some fucking fun enjoying your life. Don't drink too much fucking alcohol.
That's the hard part.
I love
Have some
alcohol.
fucking fun.
Yeah, have some fun. Yeah, have
Yeah.
some joy with people. Find something that you love, whatever it is that you enjoy. You might want to build a business. You might want to have kids. I don't know. You might want to travel.
I feel like you and I are gonna we'll do another podcast on the kids thing because I'm 36, single, and had a family member. I went to
No
a family
kids.
dinner on Saturday night. 10 minutes into the family dinner, they were like, "So Mel, have you decided if you're gonna have kids or not yet?" And I'm like, "What?"
How
So
many
anyway,
fuck? Yeah.
we'll do that another episode. Kitty, as we wrap up, have you got like one solid piece of advice that you want to give any woman to start this journey
Oh,
of
just
self-love, of self-compassion, of self-understanding in a physical or emotional sense?
like take consistent imperfect action. Like, honestly, it is the key to success, I think.
When are we
Because I
getting
think
that
about
on
all
a
of the
t-shirt, please, Kitty?
yeah,
That's
we
like,
need it.
that's
We
your
need it. We really need
tagline.
it. But it's true because I think like so many women, just an example with the nutrition is like, oh, they'll have their meal plan and they'll eat something off the plan. They're like, oh, fuck it, I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm having a binge. And then 5 days later, they get back on the nutrition plan. It's like, just if you miss a training session, it's okay. If you have a meal off a plan, just get back to the next meal. It's that, because I think if you do that, and in 12 months' time, where you'll be versus every time that you make a mistake or you experience a micro failure, you just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, it's the same in the business too. Like, fuck, we've made so many mistakes and so many, like, oh my God, lost money, but we're still here
Well, it's like the
because we
long-term
just,
vision, right? And Amy talks about this the long way home. Like, if we've been so
mm,
trained to do like the 12-week challenges or whatever. So if you do miss a meal, it's like, holy fuck, end of the world.
oh,
We're
yeah.
training for life here. We're not just training for, again.
Exactly. It's the thing I say to them, okay, like, let's just say you do everything right and you get to where I am, you look like me and everything. Like, what do you think's different to what I do is to what you're doing now? It's the fucking same. Like, I still prep my food every week, you know. I don't track meticulously now because I just don't need to, but I still
Yeah.
do. I do a meal plan every week. Like this week, I'm having spaghetti with rice in broth with orange juice. My breakfast is, eggs and sourdough and fruit and coffee. Dinners has been that chicken gyros. I don't know if I say that properly, but this Greek chicken with potatoes and chocolate ice cream. Then tonight we're having tacos. So like, I eat pretty similar stuff. And then, on the weekend we'll go out and have a meal. I might have a glass of wine, but then I do my 10,000 steps every day. Like, I'm quite active. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I keep, this is the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
It's the same
Yeah.
stuff, but you said with Greta, like, you found what works. You've done
Mm,
the diets, you've done all of the things, you've done the work, the inner work, like you found what works. And so why would you do anything differently? And now you can truly enjoy life because you've done the
mm,
hard yards to get here.
But it's still this, like, you change and you just become a new person. You are the person that does the meal prep. You are the person that most of the time has a walk every day, who prioritizes their, I mean, I don't always, like, sometimes, and this is a sticky point with Craig and I, like, he's like flops around at night, he stays away. I'm like, fucking go to bed, cunt, at 9 o'clock. I'm like, I need to be like, I have to have a very, like, I'm very structured, I like to be in bed at 8:30, do my little cards, have my red light, do my breath work. I need to, like, and then he'll be awake till 10. I'm like, come to bed.
You need to look at the
So
reel I
sometimes
posted today on my stories. It's like
funny.
when you get asked for an 8 p.m. dinner reservation and she's like
Oh
left
yeah, you're
her
like,
outfit out on the bed and then just jumps
you're
into
like,
bed.
fuck
I'm
no,
like, yep, fuck that shit.
babe. No way. I'm like, are you kidding? But because I like to get up early too. I wake up early,
The best time of the day.
so it's, yeah. So, I mean, it's not like I say, it's not like it's always all the time. There's going to be times when you have a drink or you stay up late. But if you're doing that shit consistently, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah. Do you know what's also funny? I realized like you're talking about, you consistently walk your minimum 10,000 steps a day. And at the moment you're in Dubai and it's fucking hot. So like you're still getting out there, you're doing the thing. I'm in South Australia. We might hit 10 degrees during the day. And I'm like, oh, it's too cold. I don't want to go out. Like it's never going to be the perfect fucking condition either. But if you know what's good for you, you'll go and fucking do it.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I'm sitting at my desk all day. So if I'm sitting and I haven't gone for a walk, I'm like, my back hurts. And I just, I really enjoy just movement and moving. Otherwise, I'm just like, oh, I just get like restless.
I think we all do. We just don't realize it yet.
Mm.
Kitty, thank you so much for joining me for this chat today. It's been a long time coming and I much appreciate your time. I'll let you go and finish unpacking the rest of your groceries.
So much for having me.
You're so welcome.